Good morning, Unity Village Chapel. I feel like an invitation here, if you feel like standing up, or you can do this sitting down, but I feel like we need to move some mojo up in here. And I feel like we need to just let it out, wiggle it around, shake it, whatever feels good. Spirit be moving, Spirit use me. Ah, my home away from home. Does it feel like I'm here about every other week? Unity Village Chapel, the Mecca. The Mecca. I forgot to put this somewhere else. Thank you, Steve Colliday, for setting the opening energy this morning. Merwood, on the wings of love, do you fly? My name is Reverend Brenda. My title is Rev. My name is BS. Otherwise known as Brenda Sue Who. I am delighted. I actually live in Iowa. I have a home and a spouse and some chow-chows. And then my other home is here. I get a raucous greeting when I show up from Rev Erin and my little boo-boo, Georgia. And I get this raucous greeting when I come in the door, Bubby's home. And it truly does feel like home when I'm here. And it's such an honor. I'm so delighted to be invited by Rev Erin to bookend this sabbatical time. Summer sabbatical series. Boy, we're ending that by the hair of our chinny chin chin for the summer, huh? I'm driving over here this morning and the leaves are floating in the sky. We're definitely shifting. So today, on the heels of the summer season, I am here to introduce something that's already been mentioned twice. So I feel like a little bit of my thunder was taken, but I'm here. Somebody said you're welcome. Was that you, Mary? Oh, Steve. So we're here to talk about this adventure called Adventures in Spirituality. How many of you have already participated sometime in the past in a series of Adventures in Spirituality? I am surprised. I thought we'd have more hands. Well, we'll just see about that when I'm done pumping up the volume around here, won't we? So we still have peeps, obviously, clearly, for whom this adventure is a new one. And as I mentioned, I am here today representing my team, my peeps, the planning team, stellar planning team that has been organizing and coordinating what is unfolding this very week. And on that planning team is the Venerable Mark Livingston, Mary Roseman, how many of you know Mary? Linda Ray Chappell. Do you have your AIS chair? Apparently not. She's not rushing the stage. And myself served on that team. Since long ago, those of you who've been around for quite a long time, you know that there was a fall series based on a relevant book about spirituality. And we're not talking about just any new agey spiritual bumper sticker book being chosen. We're talking about material that brings us to walk the talk up in here. And here's how the adventure works. This book is chosen, and it includes concepts and ideas and practices that align with our New Thought teachings. And then the team organizes something called small group hosts. And the team offers training and orientation for these hosts, equipping just a stellar group to be facilitating this series. And then our administrative team enthusiastically puts out the word. Have you seen the word about AIS on the website? Have you seen the word about AIS in Facebook? Where else would they see it, Mark? On the app? Spotlight, email, everywhere. It's everywhere. And here are the logistics. Next week, when Reverend Erin returns, not a moment too soon, she will share the golden nuggets from this book, Living Untethered. How dangerous does that sound? Martha, I had a flashback when I was waiting for my turn this morning about lying on the floor of my office in tears and saying to my spiritual tormentor, my Martha Creek, saying to her, I feel completely untethered. And little did I know that I was ahead of the game, right, for Michael Singer. So there's that. So Erin will be sharing the gems. Our small group sessions begin this very week, mañana. And in this first week, the groups that meet, the people within the group will have the opportunity to connect, to get to know one another. We'll cover kind of the parameters of the program. We have sacred agreements about holding confidentiality and trust. We have some reading assignments, not for the faint of heart. And in total, we're offering 7 groups. So you can choose any one of 7 groups. And I think Mary mentioned there are groups that are meeting via Zoom. Good morning, my Zoom peeps and live stream peeps and Facebook peeps, all of our beloveds in the ethers. And there are also groups that will be meeting here at the village in the Unity Village Chapel community space. So we've got a Monday morning group, a Monday evening group, Tuesday afternoon group, Tuesday evening group, Wednesday evening group, and finally there's one Thursday afternoon and early in the evening. So hopefully we have prepared a buffet, a menu that works for you. So some of you might be sitting here thinking, what does any of this have to do with me? And I would contend that Adventures in Spirituality has everything to do with you. I always come with questions, right? So why do you come here on Sunday morning? Shout it out. Why do you come here on Sunday morning? What's the point? Inspiration. Community. Why else are you here? What are you here for? Spiritual. I didn't hear it. Somebody. Spiritual nourishment. Feed me. Feed me. Well, I think those are pretty good reasons. And people show up here in the physical, clearly. People show up in the Zoom room. People show up on Facebook. People show up on live stream. And yes, for spiritual nourishment, for community. And for me, looking at Unity Village Chapel, I think one of the big bonuses is getting to hang with really quirky, interesting people. Right? I mean, we're kind of proud of our quirk, I feel like. So the Adventures in Spirituality will offer each one of us all of that: community, inspiration, spiritual nourishment, and much more. You see, we intentionally designed the groups to hold a max of no more than 12 people. And there's a distinct reason for this, other than 12 is just an amazing metaphysical number. But there's a reason for this so that we can set up spaciousness within each group for all the participants to engage. And as I mentioned, we commit to confidentiality, we commit to trust, and maybe, most important of all, we commit to complete unconditional acceptance of another's viewpoints and beliefs. It may surprise us that someone in the room thinks differently than we do. Have you ever experienced that? Even in unity, where we're in unity, we're all the same, not. So this unconditional acceptance is an important ingredient. Within the arena of the small group, we can be our own selves. We can be authentic. We can share vulnerably and truthfully, and we can discover with one another, yes? We are all capable of reading a book by ourselves. But the richness, how many of you have already started reading this book? I'll refrain from sharing that comment. Where was I? So I was saying that we can read a book by ourselves, certainly. We've all read tons of spiritual books, I would guess. But the richness lies in coming together with another and saying, what do you think? How do you see this? What's your understanding of this quote, this chapter, this section? And the other rich part of this discussion can be, well, when I read that quote on 109, my first thought was, I think he's full of it. And I'm just not landing there. I'm not feeling it. And that gives someone else in the group the opportunity to say, oh, man, I loved that passage. And here's what I found in it for me. So this richness of being in the group kicks open the door to vastly broaden and deepen our spiritual understanding. And that's probably one of the key things that I love about small groups. And here's what I know about UVC peeps. You all love to get together. You hate to miss a party. You love to socialize. You love to be together, jam with music. John Fry, music always makes the day, yes? Music and food and people coming together. That, in my mind, is what UVC is about. So if you are so moved after this highly inspirational message being shared with you this morning, if you are so moved to enroll in a small group, I guarantee that you will make at least 11 new friends. We'll cover lots of spiritual ground, and you've heard the quote from Jesus, wherever two or more are gathered. And I feel like that's such a wonderful statement for this spiritual opportunity, because wherever two or more are gathered, I meet you and I see you. And I'm willing to see your heart. I'm willing to see your vulnerability. I'm willing to see the authentic you. And I'm willing to learn what you think, what you know, what you think you used to know, but maybe what you think you know now. Those are the advantages of two or more gathering. So if you haven't participated to date, if not now, when because now we have in-person and Zoom, so we can meet everyone. And if you have already participated, maybe several times, I invite you to, when you're looking at enrollment, I invite you to seek out a facilitator, host, people in the group that maybe you don't know so well yet, so that you can open yourself to that experience. So there's creating connection. And aren't we here? I think the underlying answer to why are you here? Why do you get up and shower and dress and drive over here? Because there is spiritual evolution going on. I love it when Rev Erin opens a service and says, "Are you ready for the practice? Are you ready for the practice?" And my Martha Creek has said to me more than once in our conversations, "Oh, honey, no shortage of curriculum." And so in our small groups, we can chew on that curriculum and we can come to an understanding about it. It's so fulfilling. I'd like to share just a couple, 2 or 3 quotes from Living Untethered. You get to the point where you realize all you're ever doing in there is trying to be okay all day long. If I were just okay. First, you think about what will make you okay. Well, if my husband cleans up after he makes a meal that I did not share, he would be a much better spouse. So we think about what will make us okay, and then we go out and we try to make it happen. So you can imagine how that dialogue goes about, I just cleaned the kitchen and I walk in and, so you know how that goes. The other quote, let's have a breath. This is the journey before us, to free ourselves from distractions that keep drawing us away from our greatness and leave us struggling with life. Let's hear that again. This is the journey before us, to free ourselves from the distractions that keep drawing us away from our greatness and leave us struggling with life. Anybody interested in giving up the struggle? Making life just a little easier? And by the way, I gotta say that that whole quote about trying to make things okay, Singer pretty much throughout this entire book strongly challenges that approach. We're socialized to that approach. I'll be okay when. I'll be okay if. So just out of the gate, we get to stand on that premise, I'll be okay when, and question that. And our final quote that I want to share this morning, I'm quoting Singer, who's quoting Rumi, so it's a third-hand quote. Yesterday I was so clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. And today I am wise, so I am changing myself. Are you intrigued with this material? Are you intrigued with this program? Are you interested? As has been mentioned a couple of different times, you can go to the UVC website. you can contact the UVC office for help. And I understand that today, as we leave the premises, that there are folks who are ready and willing to help you sign up manually. Like, you can put pen to paper and commit and put your name on there. Say that a little louder, Mark.
They're going to help you go to the website.
Oh, I lied about the pen and paper. My bad. They're going to help you go to the website and enroll there.
So very easy. It's very easy.
It's very easy. Of course it is. You do it every day. Not everybody does it every day, but we'll help it be easy, right? That's why we're here. Help it be easy. This book is a mind bender. Man, there were so many times that I was reading along and I thought, oh, I want to talk with so-and-so about this. And Singer certainly gives us specific concepts to examine and challenge our life paradigms. And I love that. I love that when we get to stand back and go, are you sure? That's a question that I ask my little boo-boo quite a bit. And I noticed on my last visit, I don't remember the context of what we were talking about, but I said something to her and she looked up at me and said, are you sure, Bubby? So we get to ask ourselves that. Am I sure? And the good news is he shares specific spiritual tools, spiritual practices that equip us for navigating life, for equipping us in having the wisdom to change ourselves. On a final note, I was here several weeks ago opening the energy as Erin was leaving, Reverend Erin leaving on her sabbatical. And I talked about the meaning of a sabbatical. We talked about our own personal Sabbath. So I'm trusting that we have incorporated that practice, Sabbath time, each day, each week in our lives. So as we prepare for Erin to return, I invite you to consider a couple of things. Reverend Erin has served here for over a decade. Reverend Dr. Martha, my Martha, how many ministers do you know who has served a decade or more? Like 2 handfuls, 3? 20 maybe. How many ministers do you know that bailed within the first 5 years? Most. It's a tricky gig. It is. I do believe that Reverend Erin is the right and perfect minister to serve, not just in any ministry, but to serve in this ministry seated at Unity World Headquarters. She is a sage. So is her daughter. She is a sage. She is a visionary. She's a dedicated servant minister, and she absolutely loves each of you who have chosen to be a part of the spiritual community. And from my lens, from the shotgun seat, it looks to me like Reverend Erin has poured her heart and soul into this community. And she certainly earned every single minute of her sabbatical. I know that, who started that? Thank you, Stephanie. I know that over the last many weeks, she has been doing some deep introspective work. And a portion of that work is contemplating, upon her return, who will she be? How will she navigate ministry going forward? So next Sunday, October 2nd, can't believe we're talking about October. Next Sunday, October 2nd, I invite you to meet her with an open heart. And I invite you to meet her with a curious mind. Who am I meeting? Who am I meeting here? And if you feel so inspired, I would invite you to toss in a, Reverend Erin, welcome home. How can I serve you?